In this video, we will take a look at some viewport tools and improvements introduced in Mari Extension Pack 6L3. A small improvement is that the viewport is now aware of you dragging in brushes from the shelf. If a tool is active that supports brushes, you can now use this drag and drop behavior to change brushes on tools more easily. When you use Mari's Transform Selected Object tool, you can now directly in the viewport change the transforms numerically via this new viewport widget that pops up. The transform tool can be used to change the transforms of objects, but its most used functionality is to add positions of, for example, projections by selecting a node supporting transforms first and then activating the tool. Using the viewport widget now gives you another way to edit those transform values. If you wish to uniformly scale, you can activate this toggle. The toggle will record the currently set scale relationship of X, Y, and Z. So if you already have a non-uniform scaling to begin with, that relationship of values is maintained. The number fields support Mari's regular value editing functionality, namely placing your cursor next to a number and using the up and down arrow keys to edit the value to the right of the cursor. To control the increments you're changing when clicking on the up and down buttons next to these fields, you can use this drop-down that you may know from tools like Maya. The full circle, for example, will apply increments of 10, the half circle increments of 1, etc. If you close the transform widget by mistake, or it is not visible when you change viewports, either reactivate the transform tool or click inside the viewport and it will pop back up. Apart from this viewport widget, you can now also edit the transforms via this Edit Transform tool, which offers some additional functions such as resetting the transforms, as well as editing the raw transform matrix, for example, to introduce shearing. In a previous extension pack version, these two buttons down here were introduced, controlling how paint is applied to your object. The buttons shadow the projection settings in the painting palette, determining, for example, if paint is applied to all your geometry or just selected faces or UDIMs. A useful but treacherous feature is the projection option, which influences if paint is only applied to the geometry facing the camera, or if paint travels all the way to the backside of the object. As having it on by mistake can be quite destructive, Extension Pack's convenience buttons clearly highlights when this feature is in through mode with the button being red. On top of this color notification, Extension Pack 6R3 now adds an optional viewport notification. If you go to the Mari Preferences and the Painting tab, you can find the Projection Info group, which already existed in previous versions, allowing you to configure those two buttons. For example, if to show them or where exactly in the UI they should be located. The new Show Projection Mode warning checkbox, when turned on, will add a red outline around your viewport if the projection through mode is on, making it even more obvious that you may be by mistake projecting your paint buffer contents to both sides of the object. Mari has an abundance of ways to lock objects, selection groups, patches, etc., making it sometimes difficult to understand why paint might not show up on the object. To help with this, Extension Pack introduces a new viewport notification telling you exactly what may be the problem. Let me lock, for example, this selection group of my current object. If I paint something in the paint buffer now and try to project it, I'll get this notification telling me that my selection group is locked and that this may prevent the paint from projecting. Simultaneously, the widget is offering you the solution, in this case unlocking it. The notification is on a very quick timeout as not to disturb you too much during working. However, once you are more experienced, you may want to have more control exactly when it pops up. You have a pause option directly in the widget, which will pause any sort of projection warning for the duration of your Mari session, meaning they will auto-reactivate when you restart Mari. For even more options, you can also edit the notification preferences. Here you can configure exactly what issues should trigger a notification. These same settings are also available in the Mari Preferences, again in the Painting tab. So for example, if you pause the notifications and you wish to unpause them without restarting Mari, you can untick the pause warnings option, which the pause option would have turned on. A final note, all of these viewport notifications are part of Extension Pack's new Python viewport notification API calls. So if you are a pipeline developer, you can use this system for your own purposes, for example, to give users a notification about new model publishes. You can find a full example of the notification system in the extension packs resources folder under the Python examples.